Hi, I'm Jason Gorb for That Shelf, and we're here actually to celebrate a band that would be Musical Box. To call them a tribute band, I think, does injustice. Basically, a real life audio documentary about the band Genesis.
That shelf.
So, Musical Box, founded in 1993, they've been going on since '93. I was actually the bassist that founded it in Montreal, of course. And those I was actually discussing this yesterday or at the show. You're going to see a clip. You can actually sort of. I'll put the time code below where you want to not listen to my yammering. You're welcome to do that. Spoiler: I recorded a performance. Anyway, French Canada has long embraced progressive music in a way that Anglo Canada didn't. It's like there's many ties to Europe that Quebec sort of holds, whether or not Anglo or Franco Quebec, in ways that the rest of Canada and even the United States doesn't hold quite as dear. A band like Marillion can completely sell out a show in Montreal to this day in a way that just wouldn't play many other places in North America. Nonetheless, their love of early Genesis sort of has become a career, almost a calling. It's pretty wild. Um, so Sebastien Lamotte, who's the bassist, left-handed, has this incredible collection of vintage instruments, these beautiful Ricky guitars, basses, the pedals, etc. And it's Denis Gagné is the sort of main guy doing the Gabriel stuff. I've seen them sort of a bunch of churn with the other players, but those for me have been the core that I've been watching them over the last over a decade. Essentially, what they do is they'll either do a full album, or what I saw last night was that they did the Genesis live concert, and they're essentially doing a note perfect version of a particular concert, complete with Peter Gabriel's ridiculous banter, the costumes, the elements. Now there's as I said, like a normal cover band, a bar band or whatever does a bunch of stuff, is they are replicating note for note in most instances exactly what was played there, using vintage instruments and vintage sort of settings, and playing in rooms that are commensurate with where the original concert took place. I mean, now when Genesis toured, they were playing obviously stadium, arenas, etc. But to see it where I saw it, Danforth Music Hall, it gives a sense of what this music would have been like when Genesis was in their 20s, just hammering this stuff out to local college crowds as they traveled throughout Britain. It's this incredible experience. The story is that all the members of Genesis have actually attended shows. They've actually brought their kids to say, like, look what we used to do. It was really interesting when I actually finally saw the Phil Collins Genesis iteration on their last tour. Phil's obviously not doing so well health-wise. It was excellent to see, but it's so interesting because, of course, Genesis themselves have moved on. Their instrumentation has moved on. Even the way they play certain songs have moved on. And sure, you could see it as this sort of weird burst of nostalgia, but there's a purity of struggling with vintage melodrons and arp soloists and the organs and all that stuff, the vintage guitars, the drums sort of being played with the same level of intensity. Last two shows, I've just bought single tickets at a music hall and happen to be front row. Big shout out to the sound guys that did a terrific job yesterday. It really sounded amazing, much better than when I saw it last time. They've really got these sort of the wedges that are there, because when you're inside the line arrays, those big speakers above, I'm sort of inside the bubble, so I'm really hearing what's going on the stage. A lot of times I'm hearing the amplification and stuff like that, but thanks to the wedge that was basically right in front of me, I could hear the vocals, the keyboards, and the guitars, etc. But I was really getting essentially the acoustic drum sound as I'm listening to the drums just punch away Phil Collins style. This is not the I jokingly called out for a request for Invisible Touch. This is obviously this era. You're getting the sort of hardcore stuff. This was the Foxtrot tour. You're getting stuff like the named track Musical Box, of course. You're getting they ended with the knife. You're getting all that super nerdy early 70s Genesis and actually sort of replicating it. And of course, any talk of that era has to talk about their sort of magnum opus of that era, of course, Supper's Ready, that I've seen them do almost every show. The actual Genesis live record doesn't include Supper's Ready, but the version of Supper's Ready is actually on the Genesis Anthology. But of course, the Genesis Anthology had Peter Gabriel redo some of his vocals. It's a whole conversation. I'd actually love to have that record actually released on vinyl. I think it would make a beautiful box set. Nonetheless, what I was there, and just to give a sense, and as I said, just when you go to a concert and I see all this stuff, so often now the shows have to do with the lighting, the staging, and all that stuff, and this has all of that. You have strobes, so a warning for those that may be sensitive to flashing lights. You're going to have some flashing lights here when you actually see the clip. But yeah, instead of having giant video screens and all that stuff, you have essentially a replication of what it was like to do something theatrical in the 70s, be it Gabriel wearing his fox head in the red dress, or the sort of the bat costume with the black light makeups underneath. His eyes, just totally wild. And as numerous videos now are out there showcasing that everybody from the Eagles to whomever is essentially miming, I mean, for God's sakes, even Roger Daltrey, my beloved Roger Daltrey, has certain moments when he does his caterwauling scream that's just, he's miming to it. You're seeing real people play real instruments in a way that they were played at the time. And so, yeah, it feels like you're watching a live experience as they replicate one of your favorite records. And as I said, there's many bands that do this sort of thing, the sort of classic rock performances. There's all kinds of bands that tour this. But this one is done with such nerdy specificity that it just becomes an absolute delight. Just giddy about how nerdy it all is. So at the end of the show, where it was actually the lead singer was talking, somebody actually asked him about the rumor that the mic stand that he's using is actually Peter Gabriel's original mic stand, and he was kind of non-committal about it. I just think the story is probably better than not. I love the fact that when the Genesis actually put together the 5.1 mix of Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, to get the slides, they actually had to go back to the band that was using them, like as a part of the official tour, as it were. Again, they're absolutely doing Genesis with the permission of the band members of Genesis, and so they had to get them back to actually scan and actually put in for the 5.1 release. It was a little bit annoying that I don't believe those are included on the Atmos release, but I have them in the other box because, Genesis fan. The Slipperman costume, the weird stuff, the flute, the stand, even the way the tambourine works, even the way the little bass drum works, it's all there. It's such an exquisite celebration of the music of this era, done so not just as a pure burst of nostalgia, but just as a true documentation, a sort of live representation done by people with incredible musicianship and giving a sense of scope. And again, I got to reiterate this. To see a band of that impact in a relatively small arena, as it were, like a small concert hall, just reminds that this is where this music was originally recorded. I mean, when you hear something like Live at Leeds or whatever, Live at Leeds was not at Wembley. When you hear Genesis Live, which was the album that they were doing it wasn't at some sort of crazy thing in Rio with 100,000 people there. It was incredibly impactful, which meant that the staging, the costumes, and all that stuff sort of work in a slightly theatrical way because it's sort of theatrical in scope, and I really love that about that. Anyway, consider this just an unabashed celebration of Musical Box. I just wanted to sort of put this video out there and thank them for the many times. I think I'm approaching about 10 times I've actually seen them now, more than I will ever see Genesis, more than I've even seen Peter Gabriel. And they made an announcement at the actual end of the show that they're actually going in a different direction. After all these decades, they're actually going into the Phil Collins era, the post-Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins' lead singer era. So the Trick of the Tail, then there were 3, Duke, maybe they'll do some of Abacab. I think we're not going to get Mama in there. We're not going to get anything from Invisible Touch, but we're going to get the non-pop stuff, essentially, or just when they're getting a pop, because, I mean, I don't know, they might do Misunderstanding. Who knows? I think that there'll be some pretty interesting stuff that's actually done that as they sort of find different ways to actually navigate this period. I've certainly seen them enough times to see what they've done with the classic stuff, the Gabriel era stuff, up to Lamb, including them doing Lamb in its entirety, which is astonishing. I think we're still going to get a bunch of that stuff, but it'll be really interesting to see that 5-year period, 75 to 80. Incredible transition in the band, and yet there were still many elements, certainly album tracks or even non-album tracks. They actually did a couple real deep cuts last night that they can actually showcase. And so, what better way of celebrating this band than what Musical Box does, and what better way that I can do my own part here is just to champion Musical Box. If they're anywhere near you, definitely take the time, give them a shot, and just truly experience. I think it's something truly extraordinary. So for thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe, do all that stuff when you're done watching this. So this is Supper's Ready by Musical Box by Genesis. You'll hear a little bit of the sort of verbiage that Gabriel would traditionally do while the band was tuning up, which is fitting given that's what's exactly happened with Musical Box. And then you'll hear in its entirety Supper's Ready. Thank you so much for watching. Please spread the word about this incredible band. And again, if you have a chance to see them, definitely take up my suggestion and go see them. All the best. We'll see you next video.
And worms, being dirty creatures, are very partial to bathing themselves when it rains. So within seconds, the entire clean, green, smooth surface of the park was a sea of swarming worms. Swarming worms. Old Michael was very happy. He looked up to the sky and whistled a tune. It went something like this. He could fart too. The result of this little whistling tune was astounding because in bird language it meant supper is ready. Walking across the sitting room, I'll turn the television off. Sitting beside you, I look into your eyes as the sound of motor cars fades in the night time. I swear I saw your face change. It didn't seem quite right, and it's hello, babe, with your whole heart and eyes so blue. Hey, my baby, don't you know our love is true? Coming closer with our eyes, a distance falls around our bodies. Out in the garden, the moon seems very bright. 6 saintly striding men move across the lawn slowly. The 7th walks in front, the cross held high in hand, and it's hey babe, your shopper's waiting for you. Hey my baby, don't you know our love is true? I've been so far from here, far from your walls. It's good to feel you again. It's been a long, long time. We walked across fields to see the children of the West. We saw Orthodox warriors standing still on the ground. Climb up the mountain of human flesh to a plateau of green grass and green trees full of life. A young figure sits still by a pool. He's been stamped human bacon by some butchery tool. He is you. Social security took care of this lad. We watch in reverence as Narcissus is turned to a flower. A flower?